Your mind is not where you think it is. Right now, you probably feel that your thoughts are happening somewhere inside your head, behind your eyes, somewhere in that quiet darkness, inside the skull. That seems obvious. Of course, the mind is in the brain. Where else could it be? But here is what modern neuroscience, quantum physics, and some of the most serious scientists alive today are discovering. The mind does not live inside the skull. It never did. And 2,000 years ago, before the instruments, before the labs, before the theories, one person said this out loud. Not as philosophy, not as metaphor, as fact. The kingdom of God is not coming with signs to be observed, nor will they say, look, here it is, or there. For behold, the kingdom of God is within you. Luke 17, verses 20 through 21. When scientists first started seriously mapping the brain, they had one expectation. Somewhere inside, there must be a control room, a central location, a command center, the place where the you inside your head sits and watches the world. They scanned brains for decades. They mapped neural activity. They studied thousands of patients with brain injuries. The control room never appeared. What they found instead was stranger. Consciousness never shows up in a single spot. Whenever scientists try to measure awareness, they see activity spread across dozens of networks simultaneously. Different regions handle vision, sound, memory, emotion, language. But the self that experiences all of it never localizes to one place. Consciousness is not a point. It is a pattern constantly moving, forming, and dissolving across the entire brain in fractions of a second. Your mind is not sitting somewhere inside the skull like a pilot in a cockpit. It is more like weather, a storm of activity, moving, shifting, never fixed to one location. And that was only the beginning of what they found. Here is something that surprises most people. Your gut contains approximately 100 million neurons. That is more neurons than the entire spinal cord. These neurons communicate with the brain constantly through the vagus nerve. Signals traveling back and forth all day, influencing mood, stress levels, and even the decisions you make. That phrase, gut feeling, is not poetic language. Sometimes your body really is shaping what you think, before your brain catches up. And it goes further than that. The heart has its own small network of neurons that sends signals upward into the brain, influencing emotional processing and attention. The immune system communicates chemically with the brain, affecting how you feel and think. The brain is not isolated. It is part of a larger biological network, which means the system that produces your thoughts may actually include the entire body, not just the organ inside the skull. The mind is not brain activity. The mind is brain plus body, working together as one integrated system. Already, the boundary is getting wider, but the story does not stop there. In the late 1990s, two philosophers named Andy Clark and David Chalmers proposed something that shocked the academic world. They called it the extended mind hypothesis. The basic idea was simple, but radical. The mind does not stop at the skull. It extends into the world around us. Your phone stores memories you no longer keep in your head. Your relationships shape thoughts you could never produce alone. Your environment determines what you are capable of perceiving. Your tools become extensions of your cognitive system. Clark and Chalmers asked a question that nobody had asked before. If something outside your skull is performing the same function as a part of your brain, why assume the mind must stop at the skin? Your mind is not sealed inside your head. It is a pattern, and patterns do not need a single location. They exist wherever the system reaches. A melody does not live inside the piano. It exists in the pattern of relationships between the notes. Your mind may work the same way. Leonard Susskind, one of the founders of string theory and one of the most influential physicists alive, helped develop an idea that has become central to modern physics. Information may be the fundamental ingredient of reality, not matter, not energy. Information. Black holes store information. Quantum systems carry information. Some physicists now believe that space-time itself emerges from patterns of information. In this view, the universe is less like a collection of objects, and more like a vast information process, and that has a disturbing implication. If the universe is fundamentally informational, then the mind, which is also a pattern of information, is not a strange exception to the laws of reality. It is part of the same fabric. The mind may not be a physical object sitting somewhere in space. It may be a pattern of information flowing across brain, body, environment, and other minds simultaneously. Not located, distributed, everywhere the pattern reaches. This is not mysticism. This is where some of the most serious physics in the world is pointing. Now go back to the verse. The kingdom of God is within you. For centuries, the church read this as comfort, a metaphor for inner peace, a poetic way of saying God is near. But look at the original Greek word Jesus used, Entos. It translates to both inside you and among you. Internal, yet distributed through your relationships. What if Jesus was not speaking poetically? What if he was making a precise statement about the nature of consciousness, about where the governing reality of a human being actually lives? Not in external systems, not in institutions or rituals or geographic locations. Within, distributed through the body, through relationships, through the field that extends beyond the skull. The Pharisees asked Jesus when the kingdom of God would come. He did not say, soon. He said, it is already within you. He was not describing a future event. He was describing a present structure, a pattern already operating inside the human system, waiting to be recognized, not waiting to arrive. Clark and Chalmers published their extended mind hypothesis in 1998. Jesus made the same observation in approximately 30 AD. The gap is almost 2,000 years. The insight is identical. If the mind extends into the environment, then the environment is not neutral. What you watch shapes your thinking. What you listen to rewires your neural patterns. Who you spend time with literally becomes part of your cognitive system. The people around you are not just influences. They are extensions of your mind. This is why Paul wrote, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." He was not asking for willpower. He was describing a rewiring process. Change the inputs, change the system, change the mind. This is also why Jesus was so intentional about who he spent time with, where he withdrew to, and what he allowed into his field of attention. He understood something about the distributed nature of mind that most people are only beginning to grasp. Your mind is being shaped right now by your environment, your relationships, your habits of attention. The question is not whether it is being shaped. The question is, by what? Modern neuroscience spent decades looking for the self inside the skull. It never found it there, because it was never only there. You are not a mind trapped inside a skull, looking out at the world. You are a mind reaching outward into the world, through your body, through your relationships, through the patterns of information that extend as far as your attention reaches. And somewhere inside that distributed system, that vast network of brain, body, environment, and connection, something governs, something orders, something gives the pattern its coherence. Jesus called it the kingdom, not a place you go to, a reality already operating within the system you are. The scientists finally caught up. 2,000 years later, the answer was always the same. The kingdom of God is within you. Welcome back to the mechanics of faith.